So yeah, I'm Simon from Quartz, and I've been invited here today as part of the morning. I think partly because we've been going around the last couple of months sharing some insights, the results of some research we did a couple of months ago with agencies and clients. And as you learned earlier, Quartz is lots of different things. One of them we're definitely is very open. So this is actually data that we're really happy to share. There's a live website that you can go and it's qz.com/insights/GES. I'll send it to Patrick so we can share. But it's gone down really well. And it's insight into one particular audience, which is the global business executive. I'm going to spend all of 5 minutes, that's the limit we have now, giving you just some very, very top-line insights and results from there, and you can spend some time going through and fill your boots. Hopefully it's really useful to you. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how we got those insights. I think as part of this morning, learning about what's a positive methodology to engage with certain audiences is probably a good thing. So, there we go. So first of all, I'll just talk very quickly about what it is and why we did it. This particular audience, and I think with this audience in the room, this is of interest to most of us here. So global business executives, their content consumption habits have changed rapidly over the last, well, particularly 7 years, since the advent of Twitter launched in 2007, iPhone launched in the same year. And there's not been a huge amount of data that's looked into particularly these guys. There's lots of data around how the general population has changed their content consumption habits. There's not a lot about global business executives. And we saw quotes like this from Stuart Dean, CEO of GE in Asia Pacific. There's too much noise. He'd like to use Twitter, but he wants to be able to get exactly what he needs. Makes me want to teach him how to use Twitter properly. But also, if that's the sort of concern, is that something that's pretty consistent everywhere? So we started talking to a lot of the traditional places you would go in order to conduct audience research. And it was disappointing. It's probably the word I'll stick with. We found that user experience wasn't part of it, and as we've just heard twice now, that you've got to put people and how they're interacting at the heart of all this data. The platform itself is very I'm not sure Web 1.0 is actually an expression, but I think you know what I mean by it. And often there's a financial incentive. Come and fill in this survey and we'll give you 1,000 air miles, which is at least a pretty questionable results. And we've redacted the names of those different media owners who have sent surveys like this out, but this is kind of the experience that you're sending out to business executives at the moment. No thought to user experience, pretty grim, asking daft questions. The one on the left says, how did you arrive at this mobile website today? It's like, surely you know. Why are you asking me? So we tried to make sure it was very, very user-focused. Talk to people as if they are people. Give them an idea of why they're doing this and where they're going to go. So just, pretty simple. Make it pretty. Use pictures. Talk to now. We don't like to understand how you consume news. If you do this, you start to get a much, much higher response rate, which is what we're after. Make it as easy to do on mobile as it is to do on desktop or tablet. If you do all those things, you end up with, surprise, surprise, lots of people completing a survey. This is a 16-minute long survey. We did not count your results if you didn't fill in the whole thing. We had a 55% completion rate. That's about, depends who you talk to, 3 to 5 times the average time at the rate you'd expect people to fill it in. It was completed more often on mobile than it was on desktop, which mobile surveys are often horrible. And people started tweeting about the survey. Now, when people start tweeting about a survey in a positive way, then we think, oh, we've got something right. How we got them. So traditionally, we were told we need to go and buy a lot of lists, spam people effectively, whether we were using cookies or not, and then flash at them, please fill in this survey. We'll send you those air miles if you do. Somebody suggested we send it cash to people as well. So we did a few things. We sent out emails directly to people, use a personal approach. So this came from all of the C-level of both Quartz and the parent company, Atlantic Media Company, who have some very nice black books. We used our own emails, we used partners, we put ads everywhere. leveraged a lot of best practice. And as a result, if you filled it all in, you had to put your email at the end. We emailed you back. We said, was this really you? Was this somebody trying to fill it in and pretend to be you? In which case, if we didn't hear back from them confirming it, we threw it away. If you hadn't completed it, we threw it away. Once we'd done all that, if you didn't reach the people, if you weren't part of that group we wanted to get to, which was C-level executives, and this is, just to restate, this isn't the Quartz audience. This is us reaching out in as many different ways as we can get to this C-level important executive around the world audience. Once we'd done all of that, we ended up with 940 respondents. They came from 61 different countries. The 43% was C-suite. I can break it down. It's not on the survey, but if you come to me, I can actually break it down by country, by job title, by industry, all that kind of thing. I can give you a run. Told you we're transparent and open. Transparent's a word of the day, I think. And those are some of the individuals that did it. So you can see them coming from Australia, London, Lebanon, US. Just a little teaser. Go and have a look at it afterwards. Find some things that you find useful. I have not yet presented it to anybody who hasn't said we used it, or we just got a brief that we need to be showing this stuff, or people following up a couple of weeks later saying we've just heard something in this, we think this will be useful. It's a really pretty thing. It's an HTML5 document. It's constantly streaming. It looks very nice. I think what we found was, whilst there wasn't much data, there's a lot of things we kind of know. We kind of feel that things have changed. We see people looking at their mobile phones more often than we see them waiting until they get into the security line to watch the CNN news ticker. You know, this is things we kind of feel, but there wasn't much data behind it. So what you'll see is a lot of data that reassures you that you're kind of right, and a few things that will make you raise your eyebrows. But not a shocker. You won't need to change your business model. Things like, we asked them, when are this audience most focused on the news? There are 2 times. One was upon waking up. This wasn't in the morning. This was as soon as I wake up, 44% of these people are focused on the news, which suggests mobile. I don't know. I'm starting to read things into I shouldn't. I'll get slapped by our insights person all throughout the day, which kind of suggests mobile again. And then what are you using to consume a nice? Your primary device. I'm not saying you don't use anything else, but what's the primary way in which you're consuming the news? 41% were on a smartphone, which kind of ties in with that first thing in the morning. 20% on tablet, 30% on computer. So it's overwhelmingly digital. This I like a lot, and I think the phrase, the inbox is the executive's new homepage, is something that should resonate, really. Email has always been, I think because it's not part of a trend. This is something that's been around for a long time. It's been a bit ignored, but it's the most personal relationship you can have often with a user as a media owner. So if you're respectful, it really will reward you, because 60% of this audience are using an email newsletter as one of their first 3 things or primary ways in which they look at news. I'll zip through this a bit. But these are the kinds of things you'll see in terms of, do they share? Do they share socially? Yes, they do share socially. Most of them are doing it on email. But then there's also some LinkedIn, Twitter, things like that as well. What is it? Dominated by digital. A lot of those responsive people at this audience are still paying for print. They're still paying for digital as well. But very reassuring to a lot of these people in the news, that teeny tiny little triangle in the bottom right-hand corner, we asked them, why do you pay for digital news? What motivates you to do? What barely figured was, I don't want any ads, which is nice. That's reassuring. People aren't paying for, or in the main, they're not paying for an ad-free environment. There's also some stuff on sponsored content, so they're very happy to look at sponsored content as long as you are labeling it and making it clear that's what it is. If you are, I would recommend you follow Mia, if you follow anyone here. She is the person that put this study together. She is we've already used Guru, I have to think of anything. She's really good at social media. If you follow me, you'll end up with a bit about media, but more about where to find the best barbecue and occasional spats with Chiltern Railways. So I will follow up with Patrick. I hope you find it useful. If you've got any questions at all about any of the data in there, the methodologies in there as well, but let me know.